we will proceed to tell you about IT management. Our company is a dedicated provider of technology solutions to government and education. We are a San Jose, Santa Clara-based company with footprint throughout the state of California. We have offices as far north as Redding, serving the southern border of Oregon, and as far south as Tarzana. And our headquarters is in Santa Clara. Some of our credentials are here. We are an advanced technology provider. We have some of the highest accreditations from a variety of the leading manufacturers in the country and in the world. And you can see a few things here about the manufacturers that we work with. We are a vendor agnostic company. Our best interest of our consumers and our clients is in the forefront of our mind always. Today we are co-hosting this event with RUCKUS because RUCKUS is one of our favorites and one of the providers that we feel has brought quite a bit of value to those who we serve. As far as 101VOICE is concerned, the company that I will be highlighting today, we are a CLEC. For those of you who know what a CLEC is, we are held to the highest standards by the PUC in terms of quality and availability of service. So we don't cater to consumers. We don't cater to small business. Our job is to make sure that 99.995% of the time our clients are up. Whether it's a sheriff's office, is social services, or a school with its important needs. So we will go through that, but basically on the right side of this slide, you'll see a little bit about our financially backed service level agreement that we have, ensuring that we will provide what is most important to our clients. This is a brag page. Our company is continuously receiving some of the highest, recognitions from our peers in the industry. We are an Inc. 5000 company, best place to work. Our technology is regularly recognized by Internet Telephony, by CRN, by Consumer and Customer Magazine, CIO, and so on. So this is just for those of you who don't know us. I hope this builds a little bit of confidence in the capabilities of IT Management Corporation. We know what we do, and we are very dedicated to providing the service that we do. So our mission is to empower your organization in achieving its telecommunication needs and ultimately achieving its mission. We are not going to talk too much about features. Every feature that you can imagine is available. Today we are going to talk about what matters, and that's addressing the special needs of organizations such as yours. We are a company that provides very streamlined solution to our clients. We understand how busy your technology departments have become, and the goal of our solution deployments is to make sure that not only do we save your organization money, but we also handle as much of it as possible. That's why we are not only a cloud-based provider, but also a managed provider. In fact, we could deploy from A to Z of 101VOICE solutions with minimal interaction if that is what your IT department desires. This goes for the installation of the phones, very quick, very easy. It's touchless provisioning. There's a handful of things that your team will have to do. The rest is all up to us. As far as more important things, which is the addressing of the special needs of organizations within the government and education, we adhere to some of the highest standards when it comes to safety, whether it's campus safety, work environment safety. And the rules that are now put in place to protect employees and students and administrators. For those of you, not only those who live in California, I think everyone, is sadly continuously hears about events such as what happened yesterday in San Jose. This is a sad reality of our world, and we have spent a lot of time making sure that we do our part to protect our friends, our peers, our students, and those in our community. So E911 enhanced E911, we are in full compliance. We have features through 101 Voice, such as 911 call in progress and so on, that are very unique to us, and we can get into the details for those of you who are interested in learning more about it. Our latest release, which is part of the gift that we will extend to those of you who could use it free of charge for 1 year, is a Code Red Bridge, which would be an ideal emergency communication tool for those of you who will need to have all the decision makers or first responders within your organization together with the touch of a button. Code Red Bridge is essentially an automated way to get everybody together to address an emergency. It's a new release, and it would be our pleasure to provide it to your organization free of charge, so we can avoid any sort of a tragedy or emergency. So keep that in mind. This is one of the several gifts that we have for you if you stay throughout the event, and as long as you are a government entity. The phones that we have, we manufacture our own phones. We also work with everybody's open SIP phone, with the exception for a handful. There is a grant available through USETPA, and that is the organization for technology purchasing through education. And it is possible to get grants and get some of these phones. Our IP860G is one of them, is a qualified phone. IP960G also can be applied for. And if your organization is looking to upgrade your phone system, we will assist you with the grant process. It is possible to get up to 500 phones free of charge. And we know you're busy, so we will help the first 10 people who request assistance with the application process. We'll do it for you, basically. We'll take the information and take care of it for you. We integrate with everything, with PA systems. I won't take too much time on the details here. We integrate with all the major brand names. We are a mission critical provider, even though our pricing is very much in par with what government education institutions need, but we don't do that at the cost of eliminating or lowering our quality or quantity of our service. So we have various optional failover systems, again, like would be very important, especially in times of emergency. The quality of the service, as I mentioned, is financially backed. So we have many referenceable accounts throughout, our communities that we can put you in touch with if it interests you. So those are a few things, just beautiful portal, beautiful state-of-the-art, technology that I won't take too much time on. Basically, we are, another very important thing about 101 Voice is that we already have been vetted by various JPA organizations. We have spare agreements and also another one by USCTPA, where you can make your purchases through these piggybackable master agreements without having to go out to bid. So our prices, as you might see, just a very brief example, is as low as $4.50 per user for education and government. On that note, again, I'd like to remind you that if you stay throughout the event and if you fill a survey, with just a few questions that we'll have at the end of the event, you will receive the offer for a free Code Red subscription, free fully functioning 101 Voice demo phone, or two, if you like, that you can use and kick the tires, $25 gift card, and also the processing of your grant application at USCTPA by our company. Thank you very much. I'm really appreciative of your time during your busy schedule. I will pass the mic to my friends at RUCKUS, David and Logan.
Awesome. Thanks, Ramin. Let me bring up my presentation here. All right, there we go. So today, Well, with this from CommScope Ruckus is Adam Palacio. He's the partner account manager for Northern California and the Northwest. I'm the system engineer. I'm David Bousfield, the system engineer, works together with Adam. Also, we have Logan Lemming, who's the territory manager, and Chris Clements is SE. They work in the Central Valley, Sacramento area. So this is the whole Ruckus portfolio. We have a whole line of access points, outdoor, indoor, specialty APs. All of these access points plug into our campus line of switches. So we have a full line of access and aggregation and core switches. These can be stacked together 12 high, and there's a lot of benefits to that. So both these switches and the access points, there's lots of different ways that you can manage them, either with physical appliances, virtual appliances, our hosted cloud. You can make one of the APs a controller, so on. And then above all of this, we have software as a service. So we have secure network onboarding with our CloudPath product. We have a long-term reporting product called SCI, and RUCKUS Analytics, and Assurance and Intelligence, which is our RUCKUS Analytics. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And then we also have another application called Spot that helps do location analytics. All right. So we all live the frustrations of troubleshooting. Everything's reactive. Is there a way for us to catch up to the problem before it gets to be a really big problem? We're going to show you how. When you're troubleshooting, there's either too much data that takes too long to get through, or there's too little data and you don't have enough to look at. So can we use technology to help us with these situations and cut through the noise? And very often it's difficult to produce relevant reports for other stakeholders. So you spend a lot of money on the network, your manager asks, how's the network doing? With RUCKUS Analytics, we can give you a way to share that with your manager, very clean, easy. So RUCKUS Analytics is a cloud service for both network analytics and assurance. So what does that mean? Cloud service, it works together either with Smart Zone on a hardware controller or a virtual Smart Zone, or with our RUCKUS Cloud product. And when I say analytics assurance, assurance is things like immediate view of your health and performance, being able to detect and prioritize incidents so that you know exactly which ones to go to. After this, Chris is going to give us a demo and show you all of these things. We'll get into a powerful client troubleshooting tool, which allows you to quickly determine what the problem is and why a client can't get on. Service validation, this is turning an AP into a virtual test in client. So if you have a client that's calling, isn't able to connect, you can flip an AP into a test client. It can make a connection, get a DHCP address, and you can validate all that without leaving your office. Data Explorer is our way to let you into our huge repository of data that's been collected. It allows you to slice and dice it different ways to see what you need to see. And then I already mentioned some carefully curated reports that allows you to show stakeholders what's happening in your network. And the big benefit here is that it saves time. You're going to be able to resolve issues faster, eliminate having to visit other sites to resolve problems. And then through trend analysis, we can start to see where the network is being stressed and how we can plan and improve the long-term performance of the network. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris Clements to give us a demo.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let's go ahead and make this bigger. All right, so hopefully everybody can see my screen here. So as Dave was talking about, RUCKUS Analytics is our cloud-based platform, and it's really designed to work with cloud and or our Smart Zone solutions for managing your access point and switch environment. So When we first log into analytics, what you're seeing basically is a basic dashboard. I like to call this the Petri dish. In this particular case, each of these circles represents a particular network or zone within the environment that's being brought into analytics for this instance. Up here on the top left, you're going to see basically a scrolling heuristics or statistics about the network environment. So in this case, 159 VLANs or WLANs, about 5,500 clients, and so on. So as we look at this, a couple things that pop out. You see up here at the top right, we see incidents. So what's happening is we have built into the application a bot similar to Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa. We actually have a bot named Melissa, represented by the little cube down here. Melissa basically can take plain English commands and respond to them just like a regular traditional assistant would do. So you can ask things like, how's my network today? Or, what's the top application on my network? And she'll return back in plain English the results for that query. So that's kind of cool. What Melissa is doing in the back end, though, is churning on up to a year's worth of data that's collected from your controller environment. And so that's kind of unprecedented in this space within the rest of the market area. Usually it's about 60 to 90 days worth of data, but we actually go back a full year. So the power of that is the aggregation and the analysis of trends over long periods of time. So when we start to dive into this, if we go into the actual analytics section, what we start to see is just that graphs over time. In this particular case, it's the number of clients that have joined the networks over a period of time. If you see up in the top right here, we see a date, start and end date. Currently, it's on 24 hours, but again, I can go back as much or as little of time as I want just by selecting either the day of the week or an individual time. So if you want to just go back in the last few hours, for an example, you could set that here. We're going to leave it on 24 hours for now, just because it provides typically a pretty good snapshot for an overview type presentation. Below here, we start to see some of the incidents that are categorized by Melissa. So she's gathered data based on the input that's coming in from the controller environment and automatically bucketized things that she would consider to be priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, and so on. So if we look here, we see high controller connection failures in zone interface XPO. So if we hover over that particular hyperlink, it's going to give us a little bit of a root cause. And I know it's kind of hard to see on the presentation, but I'll go ahead and click on this so we'll see it a little bit larger. But I just wanted to cover a couple more points here. It gives you some root cause analysis and then some potential remediations for how to solve the problem. So simply clicking on that incident, it brings up a lot more data about what went into making that assessment and how Melissa came to that realization that it was a problem. Starting with some of the root cause analysis up here, basically what went into the thinking behind why this is a problem, and then some possible remediation, how you can fix this problem from happening potentially in the future. Also gives you some more of the detailed information about the incident. So there was 10 APs that were impacted by this particular problem, and it started at this time, ended at this time, for a duration of 14 hours and 20 minutes. You'll start to see some graphing of the actual incident as well, whether that's heartbeat lost and so on and so forth. So again, that happens automatically based on Melissa's ability to aggregate and classify data and patterns over long periods of time. So now we go into the health part. This is a little bit more real time. So what we're seeing here on this screen is basically the number of connection attempts. So this is a client trying to associate with the wireless network. The number of successful connections, the number of failed connections, the success ratio, and then the time to connect on average for those clients. If you notice here, there's these little chevrons. The cool thing here is, let's see, everybody wants to focus in on the failed connections, because as ops people, that's what we focus on, right? Is things that aren't working. So we click on the chevron, and now all of a sudden we see a linear graph of what made up those 17,000 failures. And they bucketize into authentication failures, association failures, EAP failures, radius, and DHCP. And then again, over time, You can see, what's happening with your client counts. And then if we scroll down just a little bit more, we actually see what's really pretty cool. Again, kind of unprecedented in the space with our competitive products, but customized SLA thresholds. So if we look at our connection success, we see that it's a 89% success rate. Well, that success rate is based on a number of things: time to connect, throughput, capacity, AP controller connection uptimes. And all of those can be adjusted here, just simply sliding a bar to the right or to the left to adjust my thresholds. Now, as I adjust that, you can see it automatically recalculated. I said I want to go down to 1 millisecond or 1 second time to connect, and it automatically readjusted. Now I'm at 82% of my goal. If I say, yeah, I'm okay going up to 2% or 2 seconds, I'm sorry, that brings up my time to connect goal as 88%. So again, you can adjust these on the fly as you see fit. You can also adjust the time span that's being viewed in the graphs by selecting the dates and times up here again. So let's take a look, since we're here, about what do some of these failures look like. So great, they present the data, but then what do I do with that? So we're going to look at DHCP. So I'm going to click on this. If you notice, my pointer turns into a finger. I click on it, and now all of a sudden, I'm getting all the data based on DHCP failures that happened to make up this 10,200 users that had DHCP issues. I start to see some information about the impacted zones within my environment. And then I also see the top 100 clients here that are impacted by this problem. Now, if I wanted to drill in from there, again, as an apps guy, you just kind of go down that rabbit hole. I can click over here on some of these links and start to look at detailed information just about this particular client. In this particular case, let's look at a detailed client list. And it shows me now what's happened with this particular client over a period of time. And again, we're looking at 24 hours. So you can start to see the power normally to gather this kind of data in a traditional environment where you just have a controller, or maybe you don't even have a controller. Maybe you're running Unleashed or something like that, or just general APs. You're pouring through a lot of data, whether that's through PCAP or through a wireless like Wireshark or something like that. You're just spending a lot of time churning on data to try to correlate this, and that's the power of Melissa. Now, as Dave was saying, one of the other cool things that Melissa and/or analytics brings to it is service validation. So we all know right now, especially as we're emerging out of the pandemic and starting to return to whatever is going to be normal, the use of video and things like Zoom have continued to skyrocket. And I think that's here to stay. I mean, it's one of the things that I think if we look at trends over this pandemic period, that's something that people have really attached to, and that service is going to continue to go very strong. But as a network ops person, that brings a whole level of challenges to the environment. So how do you know that if somebody's having a poor Zoom session, that it's relative to the network environment, or that it's Zoom or some cloud service provider that's providing that feature or function? So here, what we've done within our RUCKUS Analytics product is bake in an actual quality of experience test with Zoom directly. So it's very simple. You literally just click on create a test, you give it a name, and it's going to give you a unique URL or link for a Zoom session. You have two people that join that session, take maybe a 10 or 15 minute call, share data, do screen sharing, remote, desktop, whatever you'd like. And at the end, you'll get the results that show up here. What this does is it shows you the participants that were actually in the test, where they came in from, what was their Wi-Fi connection health. And the cool part about it is what was the quality of that call. So jitter, obviously in a video scenario, very critical. Anything below 40 milliseconds is good, so that's here. And our threshold for latency, 150 milliseconds, anything below that is good. And then we look at packet loss, anything less than 2% packet loss is okay. And then frame rate, again, something that's really hard to find if you're working on this on your own. We're pushing about 15 frames per second as being the threshold for good or poor performance. So as you can see, these participants had a couple of 21 frames per second here and 14 frames per second here. So that probably was a marginal call from a Zoom perspective. The great thing, though, is that you can run this with a client inside your wireless environment and have a person that's outside your environment. And now you're testing your WAN connections and you're testing the whole end-to-end solution, just like you would expect on a regular Zoom call. So that is a fantastic function. There's no additional cost within the RUCKUS Analytics portfolio to enable that or run those tests. You can do them whenever and however often you would like. So then we bump into reports really quick. So in this environment, these are more canned reports. I consider them basically executive summary reports for funding and trends over time, where you have to go up to maybe a board of directors or a CEO or somebody to explain, the need for more improvements on the network, or how things have worked over time, justifying that ROI. This is where you would want to go. This is what I consider to be the eye candy. These are just, very well presented reports that can be exported or put up on a display board that show your environment over time. In this particular case, we're seeing a snapshot, and it should be noted too that this environment, because it's tied to our controllers, is not limited just to wireless. So within our controller environment, we also control our ICX switch line, which is all the way from access layer to core aggregation routing. And those switches can be brought into the controller as well. And you can see that here, where you're seeing statistics and user data and reports that can be gathered across the whole portfolio of wireless to wired infrastructure. And I know I'm kind of going on here. Let me just hit on a few other points here that are something that's really pretty cool in our functions. When we look at the reports itself, we have things like client reports or client health. So again, you'll see individual clients over time, how they're performing. Pretty cool. If you have hot list clients that you want to keep an eye on, they can be plussed in here and monitored over time. Maybe they're CEOs or C-level suite executives, and then applications as well. Because we are aware of the traffic that's going across the network, we can actually categorize the traffic, and you can start to look for trends like, wow, YouTube, believe it or not, YouTube's a very large application of traffic that goes across the networks. So you can start to graph those over time and see what the trends are with application type data. The final thing that I'm going to touch on is what we call Data Explorer. Now, think of Data Explorer basically as a big, massive database that you can use like an Excel pivot table to generate reports of whatever you want them to be. So in this particular case, we have this concept of data cubes. Data cubes are collections of data elements that are grouped into buckets for organizational purposes. So in this particular case, I'm going to go into we're going to go into sessions, because that one's actually, it shows really pretty good data, and it's easy to kind of follow along. So in this particular case, all of the elements that I can bring into this graph are shown here on the left. Now, what happens is, and it's very simple, is we go ahead and we grab an element here and we drag it into the Explore field. And again, you'll see we're in still a 24-hour time period. I could change the filter for time to whatever it is that we would like. But automatically just dragging that in, it's pulled in now every AP group that's within my environment, and it's showing the overall user traffic for that particular AP group, just like that. And again, this will go back up to a year's worth of data. Now, it's gathering this data based on the measurement that I've selected over here, in this case, user traffic. But let's say, for example, I wanted to not only know the user traffic, but I also want to know the number of sessions, right? So I can go in here and I can say, I want a multiple selection, and I want to look at the session count, because it's not always just about the throughput, it's about how many people are on your network as well. So just by enabling that button, now I see the session count as well. So I can start to look at, okay, well, overall, I have this much traffic and I have this many sessions at that time, which is kind of cool. But is that better or worse than this time last year, or last day, or in the last 24 hours? So just by collecting or pressing this compare button, I can automatically now see what the trends are over time, just as quick as that. So if I wanted to change this, instead of the last day, I wanted to go, well, let's look at the last 7 days. So it'll go through, and just as quick as that, it's now aggregated that data for the last 7 days, and it's showing me the trends, not only by the group of APs, but by the session count and overall user traffic. But let's say I wanted to know just that one more detail. So instead of just the AP group, I'm curious about the actual AP itself. So let me go ahead and grab the AP model, and let's throw the AP model in here too. So now it's going to take the actual group, it's going to break it down by each of the model of AP that's in that group, and then give me that data. And then as you scroll down, you can see each of our groups are now broken out as well by the AP model. And again, you see how quick and responsive this is. This is all 100% cloud-based with data that can go back up to a year. So you can slice and dice this data however you like. You can also take this, if you get to a particular place where this is the snapshot that you always want to look at, you can either export it or create a dashboard so that this is already built and ready to go. You just have another button that you click on, and you're basically taken right into that dashboard every time, or putting it up on a display board, whatever is convenient for you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to, I'm not sure, I think it might be Logan. But hopefully you enjoyed that, which is RUCKUS Analytics. And if we can answer any questions on that, just let us know.
Thank you, Chris. So I didn't want to, we've seen a lot of content, a lot of presentations so far. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about a program that we have. It's our funding support program. So internally, you know, RUCKUS, we love our dog. You know, that's our mascot. And so it's actually called the RUCKUS Fetch Initiative. And so we basically, the way that it works is, if you're a public agency, you know that over the last year or so, there's been a lot of one-time monies that have been set up for public agencies to use. And so if you have an initiative, you know, a public Wi-Fi initiative, a connectivity initiative, a lot of what we're doing recently, it kind of fall under the headings of digital inclusion. If your efforts are to connect people in the community, connect students, et cetera, there are a lot of grant funds that are out there associated with the one-time monies through the stimulus. But then there's also other ones, rural broadband grants, et cetera. And so the issue is, and just a little bit about my background, I'm the territory account manager for Northern California, mostly in the Central Valley. Before that, I was a systems engineer at RUCKUS, but before that, I spent 20 years in IT. And I spent the last 7 years as a CTO for the El Dorado County Office of Education, supporting a lot of rural school districts in the Central Valley and up into the foothills. And so we had a lot of issues with connectivity to the community, as well as connectivity to schools, connectivity to businesses, et cetera. And so it's something that's very close to my heart. But the issue was, and I wrote my fair share of grants in my 7 years as the director there. But it was finding the information and finding out what was available was one of the biggest challenges. You know, even finding, you know, what money was out there for my initiative. And so at RUCKUS, what we decided to do, because so many of our customers are in the public sector, was to create a program where we could work directly with customers to actually go out and find out. Let's say you have an idea for your connectivity project. You want to do community connectivity in your downtown area. You want to add connectivity out for disadvantaged students out into public areas, into parking lots, et cetera. Well, that's a great idea, and there is actually funding out there that can help you. That can actually help you pay for that. You just have to be able to find it. And so what we've done is we've actually engaged a number of resources where we've actually prepaid internally in RUCKUS for them, you know, to have our grants office. And so what that works out is, as you as a customer reach out to your TAM or your SE or whoever your connection is, your partner, with your idea, then they can engage our grants office. And what our grants office will do for free to you will be to take and get an idea of what your project is, and then go do the legwork and do the research to actually find out what money is available to enable you to do that. And so we will go out and find whether or not there's a rural broadband grant, whether or not you could use some qualified COVID dollars, or what is out there. we're aware of all of those funding sources, and we'll go find out which ones apply to your specific use case and which ones you're likely to get, and then bring that to you. So that's for free. And so you don't have to actually, spend any dollars or anything like that to find out what's available to you. Past that, we do have, if you want somebody to write the grant application for you and submit the grant and go through all the hoops, our grants office can do that, but there's a charge for that. But as far as going out and doing the majority of the legwork to find out what is available to you and what you can use, we'll do that for free, just as an opportunity. You don't even have to spend the dollars with us. If it turns out that you need power poles and you need trenching and cable, of course, CommScope is great and can provide a lot of that. But you'll at least be in a position where you can find out what is available and whether or not your idea, your project can go forward. As of right now, we've been doing this for about a year, but really in earnest for about the last 5 to 6 months. And we've secured we're about ready to crest over $16 million on behalf of our customers to enable these broadband infrastructure projects, connectivity projects, outdoor Wi-Fi, connectivity upgrades, et cetera. So it's been very, very successful. And a lot of customers are leveraging that with their partners to provide some really incredible things. There's been a number of small cities that have had Wi-Fi in public areas to enable students to work learn remotely, to allow workers to work remotely. There's a bunch of really, really neat things that are going on out there, and especially as somebody who grew up in the Central Valley my entire life, seeing those issues addressed and seeing us actually leverage and get a hold of some of these dollars that are out there it really warms my heart. So I don't want to bore you with a bunch more PowerPoints. That's why we tried to make this demo, do it as a demo and do it live. I do have a lot of resources that I could send your way, as well as everybody on the Ruckus team. IT management is very, very well versed in these grants and these opportunities as well. So they're a great partner to partner with to go after some of these monies. But just wanted you to know, and really it's just as easy as if you have an idea, if you have a project that you want to enable, you can communicate with us, you can communicate with IT management, and we can get our grants office integrated very easily. One short plug for IT management. As when I came on at Ruckus a little over 3 years ago, Ramin and Arman sent me a 101VOICE phone, which I've had on my desk for over 3 years now. And I use it daily to run my business, to communicate with customers, et cetera. It has never once ever had a problem. It's been the best phone that I've ever used. Plugged into my network, came right online, and I've never had to worry about it since, which is the best thing about it in IT. So just as a customer, they don't pay me to say this, that has been a phenomenal phone. So if you decide to test out 101VOICE, you are not going to be disappointed. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Logan, for everything, especially for those kind words at the end. That particularly meant a lot to me. We have had an amazing turnout during this event, which I appreciate very much. This says something about what is important to organizations these days, and we are very happy to see that everyone took the time. A couple of quick reminders before we wrap up. And of course, there would be opportunity for you to ask questions for a few minutes now and then one-on-one if you like later on. But please don't forget to respond to our survey so we can send you your gifts. In the survey, we will ask if you're interested in the assistance for the grants through Ruckus, which is a fantastic opportunity. They will do a majority of the work for you, identifying the sources of funding, and what is available and for what projects is a very big part of the equation. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. The same goes for what we are able to do. We have the resources to extend 100% free entire processing of your US ETPA grant application for up to 500 telephone sets for 10 organizations. So please take advantage of that. If you have a phone project, it would be a pleasure for us to do it for you. The Code Red subscription, I know we went through that kind of quickly, but sadly, it's a reality of our lives that we have to deal with emergencies and such. So this is a tool that can be available. Hopefully you will never have to use it, but we are happy to extend it to you free of charge for a year. Same goes with the demo phones. And of course, the qualified attendees also receive a $25 gift card, the best next option to having lunch together. On that note, if anyone has any questions, we have a couple minutes left, about 5 minutes. We'll be happy to respond to your questions now, or again, one-on-one when we talk to each other. I'll just wait a couple minutes to see if anyone has any questions. The survey is asked, where can we access the survey? But Daniel, we will email all those who attended the survey shortly after this event. And we'll also send you contact information for the Ruckus team, for my team. We always want to hear from you, so please feel free to reach out to us directly or respond through the survey, and then we'll coordinate a time to answer any questions. Okay, just wanted to briefly wrap up by telling you that IT management would be delighted to talk to you about those area of expertise we do. We do a handful of technology services, but we do it really well. Not everything to everyone, but if you have anything from infrastructure cabling to video surveillance, obviously wired and wireless networking, physical security, and of course managed VoIP. Again, these are the kind of things that we do, and we do really well. It would be my pleasure to put you in touch with our references. We are very much involved in the education and government sector, and would love to add those of you who have not worked with us in the past to our proud portfolio of clients. If no one else has any questions, I'll thank the Ruckus team for taking the time, Adam, Logan, Chris, and David, and say goodbye to everybody until we talk again. Oh, a quick question came in. Just let's answer this one. How easy is it to switch if we already have a VoIP provider? Switching to 101VOICE is something we do every day from other providers. We are very sensitive to your schedules and increasing demand on the IT departments. So we will do majority of the work. Basically, the only thing that we ask of your team is to provide us with some answers to questions, what extensions belong to whom, what are the names and email addresses, so on. It's a very nominal part of the equation. The installation of our phones is very, very easy. The boxes will arrive labeled with names and extensions and so on. So again, if you like, the easiest way to know how quick and painless transition is by requesting some demo phones. We would send them to you, and you'll see that it's simply the matter of taking them out of the box and plugging them. Okay, everybody. Many thanks for attending. We'll be in touch with you, and have a wonderful day.